I liken it to when you first get hired.
Sure.
That's going to be the best time that you have for negotiating, because every single raise and vacation is going to be dependent upon what you negotiated when you first got hired.
Yeah.
It's much the same in the carrier contract world.
Mm-hmm.
Negotiate the very best from the very beginning. You're going to have a fantastic year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a really good comparison.
All right, welcome to another episode of our podcast, The Automation Journey. My name is Marissa Dierlam, Head of Marketing for TGW North America. Today, we're going to be tackling one of the biggest and fastest growing cost centers in modern fulfillment, parcel shipping. We're going to do that from two different directions, which I think should be pretty interesting for our listeners. So let me introduce our guest today. Listeners will be familiar with Dexter Weber. He's been on a couple of times before. But new to the studio is Jennifer Saunier from Green Mountain. So could you guys quickly introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Dex Weber. I'm with TGW on the business development team. I focus primarily on our industrial and consumer goods segment.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Saunier with Green Mountain. My title is Vice President of Business Development for the South Central region. And we're all about business development and finding new mega shippers that want to partner with us and for us to bring our advisory services to their team to help them save a whole lot of money and optimize their parcel spend.
Awesome. Well, Jennifer, I'm especially glad to have you here. I know TGW and Green Mountain have been friends for a couple years now, and it's really nice to have you here to share your experience and expertise with our listeners. I'm excited to dig into what's driving parcel costs today, maybe where some blind spots are within the warehouse and operations, and tips for lean, cost-efficient fulfillment. So maybe to kick things off, I'd like to hear from you both. What's actually driving parcel cost increases today? What are you seeing and hearing from customers?
Well, thanks. Just really wanted to take an opportunity to thank y'all for having me. Getting up here to the mitten from the south during January has been really fun and exciting. It's beautiful, beautiful snow out there. But again, we really do value our partnership with TGW and looking forward to lots of fun events together. Regarding the parcel spend, so parcel costs are being driven by several factors. First, the consumer. Would you agree that the consumer has higher demands, right? So,
Absolutely.
So the customer expectation is one. Carrier fees that are escalating consistently, and network strategies are all factors that are causing our parcel spend to increase. However, I would say that our customers are not being impacted as heavily as those who maybe aren't partnered with Green Mountain, because it's our job to see the industry, to know the industry, and to help our customers avoid some of these pitfalls that are coming along with increased rates, whether it's accessorial fees, fuel surcharges, whatever the carriers deem appropriate at that time.
Yeah, definitely agree to some of those. We're seeing a lot of feedback on the fuel charges, inflation being a factor, of course, as well. And then it's like the dimensional qualifications are one piece. So from what we've heard, weird like bulky items that aren't necessarily dense might have like a higher cost to them. So proportionately speaking, like decor or home goods may face maybe some higher fees now or higher surcharges as we get into it. And then I tend to be more on the operations side, working in the warehouse, with the operations leaders. And from there, it's maybe a little bit different of a perspective, but definitely the packaging size is one of the key drivers for that area.
And so, Jennifer, from Green Mountain's perspective, what shifts or trends are you seeing for parcel spend in the last year or so?
So interestingly enough, we are starting to see a shift towards the shipper and where they are actually gaining an advantage, which has not been the case for a number of years. In fact, the Green Mountain Advisory Services team just released, hot off the press, the January issue of our market intelligence report that showed shippers have now gained some negotiating power back. We are seeing our shippers move more towards economy and ground shipping as a way to save money. And I'm a consumer, just like both of y'all. And I'll tell you what, when it comes to free shipping, I'm totally fine waiting as long as I need to, as long as I get free shipping and I know kind of the ETA of when that product is going to arrive. And I think that that's what we're seeing across the board from customers.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I think I also experienced that. Just knowing when it's going to be delivered is almost more important than the speed of it, of course, depending on the item. But having that knowledge of when it comes to you is really important for that decision.
So Jennifer, do you feel like your customers accurately understand what's behind these rising parcel costs and some of the factors that you've touched on, or are there common misconceptions?
Well, it's definitely our goal to make sure that they understand. Because of the partnership, the unique partnership that we have with them, we become an extension of their team. And so we meet daily, weekly, monthly with our customers to look at the data, to talk about the trends, to make sure that they're completely aware of what's going on in the industry, whether it's surcharges or fuel charges or accessorial charges, rate increases. Like we just finished with peak, and we certainly know there's always going to be some type of increase during the peak season. So it really is our job, our team's job, to ensure that our customers understand and are fully educated, and that we're keeping them ahead of the trends and making sure that they're very knowledgeable.
Yeah, and I imagine that takes off the burden of just the few people who typically handle the carrier contract management. Like now that burden is shared with a partner like Green Mountain.
Absolutely. And when we notice things, whether it's errors in billings or, like I said, whether the carrier is doing something different or they've increased their rates, we're the first ones to call that out and to go to our partners, to our customers, and make sure that they're on board and they're aware of that.
Yeah. And Dex, you mentioned earlier kind of thinking about things from the operational side too. So maybe let's talk a little bit more about that interplay between what happens in the warehouse and parcel shipping. So maybe from both of you, how do you think things like SLAs and warehouse operations impact shipping costs?
I think SLAs are crucial, right? So how quickly do you need to ship the items? And I think every company is a little bit different in their customer base, their needs, their approach, type of materials they're handling. But from what we see on the operations side, the speed to shipment is crucial. So, you may have manual operations now where you get the order today, you ship it tomorrow. But now with automation, you might be able to get the order, and sometimes orders are ready in 15 minutes, right? So that's the great thing about the technology. And instead of shipping tomorrow, you can ship today. And back to your reference on economy shipping, right? So now you can almost gain a day in shipping time. So you might be able to choose like a lower cost parcel service, or maybe change which carrier you might use. And that helps really leverage that cost of the parcel shipments from the operation side, along with making sure you have, of course, like right size packaging, for example.
Absolutely. I completely concur. So a lot of our customers and just people in the industry, they don't have the broad perspective that Green Mountain has because of our vast industry experience, because we have about 20% of the FedEx and UPS shipping coming through our system. We have a very niche view of the market, which helps us in every aspect and and it helps us in every aspect of the services that we're providing as we come alongside our customers in an advisory role. And we think that that's an advantage for Green Mountain customers and those prospects who are considering working with us.
Yeah. And Dex, how can the design of a warehouse and maybe your picking and packing strategies also impact parcel costs?
Yeah. So operations is like a huge piece that you often don't think about how it relates to parcel costs, but making sure you're doing things in the right way and making sure you're efficient there can make a huge like savings in the long run. So I would say from the perspective of, the operations, first you have picking and packing. So manually right now, you might try to have a box that fits everything. And when you do that manually, you might go for 30, 40, 50 box sizes. So there's a lot of complexity in managing that, but it slows down your operational efficiency and, requires more labor, more costs. So that efficiency is crucial. So what automation can do is get right-sized packaging. So you take that one factor out of the mix and make it more simplified. And then also with the picking operations, you're able to pick more accurately with automation. You're able to pick a lot quicker. So you're reducing those operational costs to get there. And then you're also able to, like, let's say in like a goods to person system, which we do a lot of, where the goods come to the person and they're picking from a tote directly into the order carton. So it's going into the carton outbound. You're saving a lot of steps, a lot of labor in that area. And then with that order carton, it might get cut down, have a lid to it, right size packaging. So in that aspect, you're saving a lot, not just in the box size and the shipping that goes with it, but in all the operations leading up to it. And that also includes like dunnage. So, you know, how much paper you're putting in there. And then I would also say impacts damages, returns, those sort of things too. So accuracy, smaller packaging, faster operations, cuts all those costs leading up to it. And then kind of, you know, hands off in the parcel world. And like I mentioned earlier, that SLA piece, you might be able to select a preferred carrier if you can ship quicker.
I just have to do a quick shout out to the TGW Campfire event. I was fortunate to go to 2 of those this last year, the one at Jasco and at Urban Outfitters. And I got to do some picking and packing and got my hands on y'all's system. And it was very enlightening for someone who has never actually worked in a warehouse.
Yeah.
And so for those customers who are watching this podcast and you haven't been to a campfire event, I highly recommend it. It was great for networking as well as just seeing your warehouse automation, you know, live and in person. So
yeah, I always love watching people, especially on the tour portion of that event. And you can see them like step up to the pick center like you did. And you can see just how quick the training is and how they can get up to picking rate with just a few minutes. And like, oh, it's super intuitive. And now I'm, you know, like Dex said, cutting out whole steps that would otherwise take up a whole bunch of time, a whole bunch of space in a manual warehouse.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Jennifer, what operational mistakes maybe inside a DC can also later show up as fees, surcharges, or other just nasty things on invoices?
Well, Dex, alluded to some of those, but choosing the right box size is always critical. The problem is some of these issues don't show up until weeks later. They show up in the billing process and the impact is much larger at that point, disguised as penalties, parcel fees, or surcharges.
And then maybe for both of you, what do you think are some of the most expensive blind spots, so to speak, in a typical fulfillment operation that can have a direct impact also?
So blind spots we often see is, again, kind of that picking process where you might be choosing the wrong packaging, and then it's the dunnage and making sure you have enough in there. So that mistake can add to costs. I would say the other aspect is in the returns process. So maybe you chose the wrong box, the item's moving around too much, and it's getting damaged and sent back. Or it could be the picking operation. So maybe you're choosing the wrong item, you're shipping it, needs to be returned, and those returns costs are a lot. So that's where we look towards our technology to kind of improve those and safeguard those areas.
Yes, we notice inaccurate weight and dimension capture. Simply having the wrong address, whether it's a residential address or a commercial address, can throw things off. In fact, we had a customer recently that was being charged an item that should have gone in a box this big. Actually was put in a box this big. And so they were obviously being charged the oversized item box size, which led to thousands, if not millions of dollars in incorrect fees. And so once we noticed that, we put levers in place to call out the red flag, and we were able to stop those charges, those incorrect charges from happening, as well as we helped the shipper identify when and where, which DC they were making this type of error, because it was very costly. But again, by putting levers in place, we were able to stop that and help that customer recoup those fees.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So Jennifer, I know Green Mountain does more than just shipper contract negotiations. So can you help our listeners understand everything that you guys do for your customers and how it unlocks savings for them?
I sure can. So Green Mountain created the term Parcel Spend Management. And so for this conversation, I'll refer to it as PSM. And bottom line is we help our customers optimize their parcel spend, whether it's through an RFP or taking a look at their day-to-day data, looking at their carrier contracts, helping them to determine if how many DCs they have in their network. Do they make sense where they're located versus where their customers are? So we come alongside them. We essentially become an extension of their team. We're in constant communication. But the bottom line is we definitely want to make sure that we optimize the money that they do have, that they are spending on their parcel spend.
And I imagine that requires looking quite a bit at their data. How does that sort of interface work?
When these mega shippers choose Green Mountain as their parcel spend management optimization partner, we receive feeds from the carriers through an EDI, and then we are able to start looking at that data. We do an audit down to the penny. We correct the audit so that we're not continuing to see these issues and problems going forward. So once the data is corrected, the audit is corrected, then we have an entire amazing team on our advisory services team where they become an extension of that customer and start giving them creative ideas to save money. Again, looking at their network, looking at their DCs. We make recommendations through these strategic deliverables. When implemented, can save them millions of dollars. In fact, we saved our audit customers over $110 million last year alone. And then another service that we provide, and it's kind of really the starting point, is we do RFPs where we are looking at the customer's carrier contracts, and we will come alongside them during the RFP, the renegotiation process, to ensure that they are getting the best rate prices, the best price going forward. I liken it to when you first get hired.
Sure.
That's going to be the best time that you have for negotiating, because every single raise and vacation is going to be dependent upon what you negotiated when you first got hired. It's much the same in the contract, in the carrier contract world. Negotiate the very best from the very beginning. You're going to have a fantastic year.
Yeah, it's a really good comparison.
So can you also give an example of how your team has dug into someone's data and exposed a problem they didn't even realize they had?
So we had a customer that selected the largest box that they could with that would not put them into the oversized charge category. And what we found is that some of their employees were actually overstuffing them because they had all this extra room, right? And what that created was bulging. And so while they were trying to avoid getting this oversized charge because of the bulging, they were charged the oversized fee. And this practice actually ended up charging the customer, or costing the customer over $2 million in oversized fees.
Wow.
So we obviously want to avoid that. Another example, Marissa, is we had a customer that we were looking at their shipping out of their Puerto Rico DC, and during a 10-year period, they were being charged for using FedEx packaging when in reality, they never were even using the FedEx packaging. And so can you imagine the fees that they incurred over 10 years? But what happened is they just didn't have anybody that was really paying attention to the day-to-day. And I know it sounds like, how could that go on for 10 years? But the reality is if you're not partnering with somebody like Green Mountain, who this is what we do day in and day out, we care so deeply about what our customers are being charged and how they're spending their money. We're going to catch that versus, in this case, sadly, it went on for 10 years to the tune of millions of dollars of incorrect charges.
Now, Dex, you kind of touched on this slightly before, but how can changes in warehouse operations that come from integrating automation, whether it's in storage, picking, or packing, how can that solve some of the pain points that we've been discussing?
Yeah. So to kind of highlight some of the things we talked about earlier, it's really just speeding up your picking process. With automation, you're also picking more accurately. So with accuracy, you don't have so many returns. That right size packaging piece, of course, selecting the right carrier based on the carton size. But it's also not putting in too much dunnage and having a bigger box. So not only is it cost of the dunnage, but the actual boxes. So it's really about the labor savings and the speed that you gain with automation that really makes a difference there. And then, of course, again, back to that right size packaging piece. Instead of having 30, 50, 80 boxes to manage the different sizes of, you can really optimize it for what makes the most sense from a shipping rate.
Yeah, right size packaging definitely does seem to be a hot topic. I'm sure it comes up with your clients as well. So what's really the real tangible impact of packaging decisions on parcel spend?
Yeah, I think you'll notice the immediate savings in your shipping, right? That's the big piece to it. But when you try to look at it from a perspective, it's an investment, right? You need to get your ROI first. So it may take 1, 2, 3 years, whatever that looks like, to pay off this automated packaging machine. But once you do that, it's long-term cost savings. And that's really important for that aspect of it.
Yeah, so maybe pulling back a bit, let's talk a little bit outside of the four walls, maybe think more network level. So Jennifer, how do these different solutions look if you're evaluating parcel shipping across your whole network? Are there efficiencies to be gained by the services Green Mountain provides if you're doing across the whole network and not necessarily just 1 or 2 buildings?
Yes, absolutely. And that is the core of our business. We proactively look for opportunities within our customers' network to help them lower costs and deliver on their customer promise. And we do that on a monthly basis where, I mean, we're already talking to the customer daily, weekly at a minimum, but we do have these monthly meetings where we're constantly looking at KPIs and their data and making sure that we're all kind of marching to the same beat of the drum.
So Dex, on a previous episode of our podcast with Blake, we talked a little bit about the interplay between what you do in a warehouse and how that impacts the network and vice versa. I would imagine that's kind of similar for this topic as well. So how can automating a single building impact a company's parcel shipping strategy across their whole network?
Yeah, it's a good question. So when you look at the network design of a company and you focus specifically on one area, so one distribution center, you might have, 30% in operational savings or something like that. But really what it does is it allows you to test the market a little bit. So you might automate one facility, see what kind of savings it has, not just in your operational costs, but again, how does that connect to your parcel savings? And then it's something you can roll out and implement at multiple other DCs after that. So you can prove the technology first, make sure you get that ROI, and then expand from there. The other aspect is you can consolidate warehouses. So that's a pretty big topic for us because of the storage density that you get out of automation and because of the throughput and speed that you get. You may be able to combine maybe regional facilities, put them into one higher performance one, and then you might be able to negotiate along with Green Mountain and their awesome team, your parcel costs because you're getting more volume out of one facility. So that's another key piece to it. And then I think when you look at your overall network design, it's also, maybe where you store your inventory. So, and where your customers are for certain items, you might be able to shift more of your goods over to that automated facility. And again, more throughput out of one facility could save you on parcel. Of course, it depends, shipping distances and all those kind of things as well. But that's, an area we can see it in the network design and how it really impacts that parcel spend.
Yeah. And, I couldn't agree more. We have a lot of stories where we have evaluated a customer's network and then made recommendations based on, where their current DCs are versus where their customers are. And in fact, I have one case where when this customer came to us, they had a DC in Memphis and they had one in Dallas. And then we took a look at their customer, where their customers were across the country and made the following recommendations. We said, we probably should close Dallas, but let's open one in the Northeast and let's open one in the West. The transportation savings were $17 million each year.
Wow.
And that has continued on, as well as, and this is something I think that we sometimes don't talk enough about, but it's that customer satisfaction piece, right?
Sure.
It's like meeting that customer's expectations and sometimes even over like that famous saying, under promise, over deliver. So these type of recommendations that we're making enable our customers to do just that.
Yeah, and that's going to lead to their growth too. Like the more you satisfy your customers, the more loyalty you get and the more that drives your own sales. So that's really smart.
Yeah, absolutely. With automation, shipping quicker, and we talked at the very beginning about how important it is to know when something will arrive. So combined with those, you're creating a great customer experience. They're going to want to buy from you again. So that's, absolutely not talked about enough, but it's maybe hard to measure, but it's definitely a benefit you get out of those.
I agree.
So maybe measurement is where I want to go next. In general, if a company is looking to change their operations and maybe their approach to parcel shipping, what are some key metrics they should be looking at? What really drives change the most?
So we start by reviewing the customer's agreements, whether they're parcel or LTL. It's really important to look at where what their current contract is, and then we go from there. So we focus on another really big area that we focus on is the RFP process. So at the beginning of every year, customers are trying to renegotiate, right? Everybody wants a better rate. So we partner with customers through an RFP, and we really like to take about 6 to 9 months to review a contract. That enables us to have several passes. Now, we don't do the contract negotiation for the customer, but we do guide them. We provide guidance and sort of hold their hand, so to speak, along the way. But it goes back to the very beginning, your contract, what you were able to negotiate, and we start from there and move forward as we go through looking at areas to optimize parcel spend.
Great. Dex, what would you add? What sort of key metrics come to mind?
So a popular one we use, again, working more with operators, but is cost per unit. And typically you would measure that cost before and after automation. And for example, we have one customer, they have 3 distribution centers. So they have, one East Coast, one centralized, one West Coast. And they in their centralized facility, they automated it and found that their cost per unit was about half the rate of the other one. So when you talk about a metric that can lead to savings, that's a big one. And it, again, back to that network discussion, helps decide where you want to store and ship most of your materials to achieve those savings. So that's probably the biggest one, other than, your actual parcel costs, which Green Mountain's helping with as well.
So these are some great insights for how to win at parcel right now, but maybe let's kind of, to round out our conversation, look a little bit more long-term, or think long-term. So looking ahead, what future innovations and trends do you see having an impact on parcel spend?
So every year, Green Mountain hosts our own summit, and it's called the Green Mountain Summit. It's one of the favorites. Would you agree, Dex?
Yeah, loved it. Went last year, learned a lot about parcel. Obviously, I deal more with operators, so it was really insightful for me.
Well, it's our customers' favorite conference of the year. During Summit, we made an announcement that we are entering our own digital transformation. And so with that, we're looking at machine learning, utilizing machine learning and AI to become better, faster, stronger versions of ourselves. Kind of like the bionic man back in the day. I'm dating myself a little bit, but but everyone's looking to improve the way that we go to market, and the way that we at Green Mountain, we're going to be able to process data much faster through through our own digital transformation. Maybe we're going to be able to also offer different modes or go into international markets that we have not been able to go into and look at their parcel. So maybe hopefully air and freight, ocean, those type of things are going to be coming for us in our kind of news, that are hot off the press news that we shared at Summit. I got to make another plug for Summit. It's coming up. It's in May. It's in Nashville again, May 12th. So it's an invitation-only event, because it is only for the largest shippers in the nation, those mega shippers in North America, United States, and Canada. And so if you're interested, or if anybody watching is interested in attending our event, please get with me. Would love to have you, would love to host you. It's a really, really great time of networking with other large parcel shippers.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And Nashville's a lot of fun. I had a blast there, and Green Mountain really knows how to throw down and make a really fun, cool event out of it. So definitely, you know where to find her.
Dex, what other sort of innovations or future trends are you seeing?
Yeah, so it's a little hard, I guess, in my spot to say what future trends might shape it. But looking from a purely technology standpoint, again, warehouse automation, I think we're going to see a higher adoption of these packaging technologies that can really speed up the operational costs and benefit, but also, make sure it's right size. I think in terms of other operational costs, we're seeing a huge increase in piece picking robots because you can run 24/7. So you have those tight SLAs. It allows you to be quicker, get those shipments out faster, right? But when I start thinking about other trends that we're seeing, so a big one is e-commerce. So very dependent on the industry, but in general, we're seeing growth more in the e-commerce segment. And I think that obviously relates to a lot of parcels. So I think you're going to see shifts in order profiles. You're going to see more e-commerce coming over the next several years and just the way people are buying. And that will have a huge impact on your parcel spend and how you choose to manage that.
One other note that I wanted to make is right now, there are basically two big players in the shipping industry. And what we're finding is that our customers are wanting to diversify. They want to have more options. And maybe a third option or a fourth option. Even some are even looking at regional carriers, and then some are even looking at postal. Like if it's not something that has to get there like in 2 or 3 days, they have a little bit longer time. They are looking at the postal service as another option. So, but it does come back to just diversifying their carrier mix and going to market from that perspective.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier that it's a shipper's market, so they have a little bit more negotiating power to do that sort of thing.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
So then finally, one question to kind of really wrap up our conversation here. What should companies be thinking about already today to prepare them for the future?
So I think it's really taken that holistic view. So it's not just, in my area, it's a lot of operations, but it's putting together your whole plan of how you're shipping goods, where are your customers located. So you really need to do a deeper dive. And so that's where understanding where your costs are going, where your customers are going, what trends are you seeing, where are you feeling the biggest pain points in terms of cost? Is it operations? Is it parcel? Is it a combination of both? So really diving into that's your best bet, I think, to really explore more and figure out, what solutions are going to be more pressing for you.
It's really important at Green Mountain that we are always in constant communication with our customers, and we're looking to evaluate both their long-term and their short-term goals. What are those? What do those look like? What does their roadmap look like? And when we're developing these partnerships where it really is a true partnership and they're sharing their strategic goals in their long-term plans, those are the things that I think are really important when evaluating who you want to partner with. When they're considering their roadmap, are they looking to close DCs? Are they looking to expand? Are they looking to expand their retail footprint? So those are considerations that if the client shares that information with us, our amazing group of data scientists can go in and model things out to say, if I open a DC in this area, it's going to yield this, or the cost will, we'll see these type of expenses. But again, having that trusted, valued partner, like we have at Green Mountain with our clients, they're willing to share that with us. We're willing to model that out. And that's why we have a 97% stick rate. The customers that are with us, 97% of them aren't leaving. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah, I like that you really focused on having that bigger vision, that bigger picture. You can't just look at one little specific area and expect to make a huge impact. You really need to, take that whole mindset of everything and, look at each area and how they interact with each other.
That's right.
Because this whole topic is focused on parcel spend, and operations is a huge piece that's often overlooked in how they connect. So taking that wide lens view really brings it all together.
Well, thank you both for this fantastic conversation. Jennifer, if our listeners are interested in learning more about Green Mountain, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Well, definitely hit up our website, greenmountain.com. We're going to have all of this information shared for you, but my email, jsaunier@greenmountain.com. Of course, we're on LinkedIn. We're on Twitter. We're on all the socials. We also have our benchmark report that we're happy to send out by request. It's packed full, chock full of industry information. We have the newest and latest and greatest one coming up that'll be revealed at Summit in May in Nashville. Little plug there again. And then we also just recently launched a newsletter. It's a monthly newsletter. So if people are looking for more of this industry information, we're happy to share that. Just send me an email and be happy to add you to that distribution list.
Awesome. Dex, and if people are interested in learning more about how automation can have a positive impact on their business, how should they get in touch with you?
Yeah, perfect. So you can find me easily on LinkedIn. So search for Dexter Weber. I'll come up. You can also email me at dexter.weber@tgw-group.com. But really, keep an eye out for our LinkedIn page. You can learn a lot there. You can find more videos like this on our YouTube page, or of course, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify.
Well, I feel like you're stealing my thunder, but that's it for our episode today. Thank you again, both for joining us, and thank you listeners for joining us on this conversation. Hopefully this has some wheels turning about how you can win at Parcel Spend, and we'll check you out in the next episode.